continue with this series as we delve into topics uncomfortable to many.
What is interesting is that decades ago we had orchestras, the 30s and 40s, with people like C.B. Brown and Percy Green. And then on to the late 50s and early 60s, we had combos like Pete Jones, BRC, the Silhouettes, the Imperials, and even some bands went back to brass. We had the Troubadours, the Organizations, and right through the 70s, we had groups like Wendy Allen and the Dynamics, but then there were also other popular bands that didn't have brass, like the Escorts, Revelations, Luna 7, Super 8, Lord Redding, the Bimsha Boys, Sam Pebbles, just to name a few that didn't use a brass section. It's amazing how things have changed. Entertainment in the tourism sector was really a buzz back then. When you look at the fact that a hotel like the Hilton Hotel was able to host entertainment simultaneously at various sections like Fort Charles, you had the Flambeau Bar, the Gazebo Bar, and back then you had bands like the Telstars, the Teenage College Thrillers, the Austin Brothers in the 60s, Charlie and the Cyclones, Ernie Small, Keith Campbell, Tropical Islanders, Mary Boys, Point Four, a whole set of acts back then that used to play right up until recently. For example, the Island Inn Hotel, which was originally constructed in 1804 as a rum storage facility for the British Regiment, is situated less than a mile from Bridgetown and within the Garrison historic area. They used to have a Monday night show hosted by the late Vic Buddy Boy Brewster, featuring a lot of the top local acts back then, people like Lord Radio, Clarence Thompson, Tony Grisette, the Escorts, Tropical Islanders, just to name a few of them. Some of the hotels from yesteryear that were inclined to host big acts are no longer in existence. Hotels like the Eastery House and Marine Hotel, which later became Marine House. The Sandy Lane Strings was a resident band of the Sandy Lane Hotel back in the day. Ammon Beach Club, which was one of the first all-inclusive properties, they brought back the resident band concept. They no longer exist. The entertainment in the hotels came from large orchestras to duos and solo artists now, which is pretty ironic. We had stages that were able to accommodate orchestras, but now most of the hotels that had big stages no longer have such. And like, for instance, the Tarburin Hotel, which used to be called Tarburin Cove back then, was one of the few hotels that had a fairly adequate stage for any size live band. Coconut Creek Hotel, which is no longer in existence as well, they used to have orchestras there in the 60s. The hotel entertainers never had a bargaining body, or there were no standalone rates. Subsequently, a cutthroat mentality was ever present to attain employment by some. Some entertainers to this day still think it's wise to be the lowest bidder. Sadly, persons responsible nowadays for hiring entertainers are more mindful of the budget than the quality of the entertainment. One thing is certain, the wages have not gone up. In some cases, they have gone down. And in some cases, they have stayed the same for many years.
How do you see the powers that be regard tourism entertainment?
Well, I'd have to say that the COVID upon us, correspondence was sent out to people that were really needy at the time and urgently needed help. And it took a while before we got any kind of response, which makes you wonder. But in recent times, I've seen an improvement, whereas we've been asked to do a project, and most entertainers would have completed the project by now, and you would have some form of financing after the project, which I think is a good thing. It makes us become even more creative, but it makes me wonder why did we have to go this distance to get some assistance when it was definitely needed at the time, and urgently needed as well.
Yeah. Prior to COVID, how do you see that the powers that be regard entertainment, tourism entertainment specifically on the whole?
It's hard to say because I don't think it was given a lot of thought by most people. Entertainment just seems like another thing. But if you see what goes on in the hotels, a lot of entertainers are basically cultural ambassadors, and they represent right through. I mean, some people even ask entertainers to show them historic places of the island, and I've seen with my own two eyes entertainers actually representing Barbados in a lot of aspects besides just music, you know. And the first thing people would see, people will return to the island because of things like the beaches, of course, the people, and entertainment, and not necessarily in that order.
Right.
You know, so that's my take.
We are very important, even though we're not made to feel that way. Is that I was playing, this is like 20-something years ago at Southern Palms Hotel, the syndicate at the time, and a whole family came over to us and said, we were here last year. We were going to go somewhere else, but we came back because we had such a great time the previous year that we had to come back. So I said to myself, we bring back a whole family?
Yes.
But tourism is really business. We play every part, like as the slogan used to say back then. And not only that, but the people had pictures of us on their mantelpiece in the house.
See, I've heard
and it was like
many times.
Yo.
And we don't recognize. So some people know would hear this comment, go, yeah, there's only one, but they don't know it's so many. We have had the experience of watching people getting up with broken feet.
Oh, I remember that night.
Remember that night?
Well. Yeah. When this elderly guy who was working in the business for many years, this barman said, I've seen all kind of bands play, but I've never seen a band make the lame walk. A man sit down, he crutches and start to dance.
Yes.
The man said,
so we've had some beautiful experiences.
You met the lame walk.
Yes, right. I even danced because he was And we've been privileged to experience so many experiences. That you cannot make these things up.
No.
Yeah. So as one of our top female entertainers, Rosie,
making me blush.
was the truth. Is the truth.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you've given so much to the industry. So much. I mean, you're unrecognized by a lot of people, but recognized by many.
Yes.
You know? And you've split your time between the two, and your level of dedication, commitment, and expertise in your craft is one. I believe there's a book to be written, and that's my genuine observation of you.
Appreciate that.
How do you see the importance of entertainment in tourism?
It's really important because it actually helps. The guests love it. That's point blank one. Yeah, and people may not think that it is important, but it is important because you can have a place. You could have a place and you don't have entertainment. No one will actually stay in. I mean, sometimes they don't because they don't advertise the bands. That's one thing. Some of them don't advertise the bands. I always figure that if you have a hotel, you should always advertise the bands. I always say, well, who's on, and make sure that the people stay within your hotel. Even if they stay there for like 2-3 days to have dinner, at least they, stay in. You will make your money then.
Yes.
By traveling and being on the cruise lines, it's different. It's totally different, right? People respect me.
Yes, right. See, there we go.
As an entertainer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when I come here to Barbados, it is be different.
Yeah.
But I still appreciate and I love my country.
I know you do.
Right? And I do for my country. When I'm out there, I'm promoting my country.
Absolutely.
Right? And like I always say to myself, if one day I put out a CD, people will get all my fans will, and not the ones here, but the ones overseas.
Yes.
Right? So I always say important to us here but people don't respect a lot of the musicians. It's not an easy job. Sometimes you gotta come to work, you may be sick, you got family, stuff like that, and people don't respect that. They've just figured that you like a robot, but it's not being a robot. Is that you may not be well that night, but just you can work to do your job.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to do, even if I'm sick, like an old dog, I can still kind of sing. You may say something bad, but I don't care. The thing is, I'm at work and I'm doing my job, right? So a lot of people don't respect entertainers, and I would like to see a day that it actually happened, but they don't unless you're somebody big star, big star. They will respect the stars though.
Yes.
The biggest stars. And I have a classic one for that before I move on. I remember when I performed before I leave here at, what was it again, Matt? The Arabara birthday. Yes. They invited me to perform there. And I performed as Rosie Hunt.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So people that didn't know who was Rosie Hunt,
Right.
they said so many things about me.
Yeah.
Who didn't say that I was on drugs? I've never smoked in my life.
Yeah.
Never ever smoked. I started drinking probably when I was like 24 or 5.
Right.
And not drinking. I only drink champagne or wine.
Wine. That's right.
Okay? And
Top
loads
end,
of
upscale,
water.
yes, top shelf.
Right? I
Yes.
never smoked. They say I was on cocaine because how I perform. But not. Machel Montana, he performs just like me. But they won't say that though. Would they?
Right.
No, because they can handle some person from our own country,
Right.
Barbados, to perform like that.
Right.
It shocked them. So it was like, she mad,
Yeah.
she on drugs. Rihanna, the big thing, Rihanna is going to be vexed with me. Why should she? You know what I mean?
know.
Why should she? I'm a performer. When it comes to performing, that's me. When you see me, I am coming to perform. I'm not coming to stand up on stage.
Right.
You pay me, I'm coming to perform.
Right.
So a lot of people gotta respect the entertainers. You know, just like Grainer. When you see Grainer, you know you can get that dance. You see Gabby, you can get the dance.
You can get the whole stage.
The
with Gabby.
whole
Yes,
stage
with
mashup,
Gabby. Yes.
right? So you know,
Everybody have their mark
their
and their
own.
brand. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not a stand-up person.
Never was.
Never was, and never will be.
Right.
Yeah, but it didn't break me.
So where do you think then that the, that the entertainers feel separated from the ones that work in the tourism industry feel separated from the other ones in culture?
We are not identified or recognized as important. We are recognized as, them is just singing at the hotels. Them is just.
Hotel band.
Right, just. And that's it, adjust. So just in this content means just and not as important, right? And that's the way it has been received.
Or they use the word only.
Only, right.
Them is only singing hotels.
Right. And that in some sense separates, they try in some way to, I would say, separate levels of.
But not only separate.
Not in terms. I'm speaking not in terms of brackets.
So you would say that it
of
has some
musicianship.
You would have it has some disdain
levels.
attached to it.
Yes, absolutely. and that's sad because.
Oh yeah, it is. It is.
You have some of the best talents.
Of course.
Happening.
Of course.
In tourism sector.
Of course.
Right.
Without a doubt.
They don't really take us tourism entertainment, very seriously, right? It's a serious craft. A lot of guys sometimes spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 worth of equipment, to go, within the entertainment, within the tourism thing to play, and sometimes you don't even know if you can get a job, right?
Yes.
And like I always say, when we dealing with jobs, entertainment was never cheap. Good entertainment, you have to pay for it, and as Jerry said before, as Roger said, it's very important, for the tourism industry, right? Because then a lot of people will come back. We work as ambassadors. We talk to the people. We hang out with the people. You share stories. You tell them where in the world you perform. And stuff like that. But the main powers that be, they don't really look at it. They just look at it as the guys are doing it part time.
Yeah, hobby.
It's a hobby.
Yeah,
You got
it
feeling
is.
criminally here, Jack car crack out during the night. And then and then sometimes the places that have you playing, something to rainfall your equipment is getting
Yes.
so they have to put all your equipment on the hand and run off stage, shelter fast. Or sometimes someone bring a towel, they say you're not using none of our towels, But that's for different time,
Right.
different stuff. But it should be taken seriously because it's going to cost the hotel money. No one would stay in the hotels, if not for the entertainment.
Okay.
And that's all I'm saying so far.
I love it. So, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the all-inclusive model versus the traditional hotels?
Okay.
Yeah, any of you?
Okay, I think I go right. The all-inclusive is just for the people. They can come in there, they stay there. But the problem, as far as the entertainment perspective, years ago, before the all inclusive, a lot of people like suppose I have some friends coming in, they want to come and listen to the band, they can come and listen to the band. First of all, they can't even get past the guard, right? And secondly, you have to buy a day pass,
Yeah.
a
Yes.
night pass, and
Yes.
things.
So true.
We as Barbados, we're cousin. You want to have a night out, you're going to spend the night at a,
Hotel.
have
Yes,
dinner at a
it's
hotel.
true.
and
Yeah.
The all inclusive does not include that. It can include that.
Yes.
Yes.
But they don't want to include
Yes.
it in
Yes.
that. They just want to keep everyone
Everybody
out
on
to
the
keep the
Yes.
people in, right? And that's the basic problem. Because I think before they start setting up certain things like that, I heard one of the hoteliers said one time that he went to Cuba and they had all inclusive properties there. One band was playing, for the whole. For the entire week, right? And he said, well, we can work that concept here. Listen, things that work in Cuba may not work in Barbados.
No,
We have to
still.
look from our point of view here, right?
And our culture.
We, as Gabby said, he was born here, neighbor street buried here. We should be able to walk in the hotel,
That's right.
rest decent. You have dinner, you make reservations, you have friends, you listen to the band, you dance, you go back home, you enjoy your night.
Yes.
Yes,
This is
it's
we
true.
culture.
Yeah, it's
There you
But
go.
there
Same
is-
Gabby.
Where you say,
Yes.
you see, but the whole problem is that if, I don't want to say government, but if government allow the hotel to set their guidelines for what they want and what they're going to do to their local people, then, there's no end. Because once you start giving people permission to do what they want to do, you can't stop them.
It is true. It is true. Jerry, you perform every night all year round. I know Rosie and Matt, they're in and out. You tell me, because you would experience a lot more as it relates to the all-inclusive versus the traditional. How have you seen that change the scope?
As relates to the all-inclusive, I would just say that they could be a little bit more lenient in terms of locals coming around and wanting to come and enjoy a good night out as well. The upside to that though is that their mandate is to create entertainment, offer guests entertainment absolutely every night because it's in the brochure. So then it will create more work for the local bands and so on.
But earlier, I asked the same question to some musicians, and one of them said, the first thing he said was, less bands get work.
Well, there's some like using concept of in-house bands.
Right.
And therefore, if they have that concept, well then they might get away with using one band, the in-house band, maybe 3-4 nights a week, and then they'll bring in a band up there called an outside band.
Right.
Local bands still, and they'll probably do that 2 nights, and they'll.
So do you agree with that? That less bands get more work?
In some properties, but there are properties that will offer you a different band every night, and not an in-house band. Well, so there is a point that that can cut the opportunities down quite a bit for some of the bands. Whereas I did mention before, what's the difference? The regular hotel now, they don't offer as much in their brochures, and if they don't offer entertainment as part of that particular night, if they're dealing advertising the night, well then there's no need to use a band. They might just use maybe a DJ or something like that. So that could be detrimental to the bands as well.
So as I said, there are advantages and
There are
disadvantages.
advantages
Yes.
and definite disadvantages as well.
Rosie would have said something earlier in regards to the hotels advertising more with their entertainment. I agree we should be on a billboard.
There you go.
Each act should be, should provide the promotional
A picture,
materials.
yeah, of course.
And then the promotional material should be then advertised as a part of your
Yeah, we used to
property
do
and
that
what,
before.
yes.
We used to do that before Mark and I, when we used to work at Glitter Bay.
Yeah.
We used to do that. We used to bring.
But
have
you
a-
shouldn't, as I'm saying, the artists, I'm saying that because I'm tapping
Yeah.
into your point.
Yeah, yeah.
When you said that hotels need to advertise more.
Yeah, but the hotels.
So I'm saying
it's true.
that we, the artists, the acts, should provide the hotel with
With
the
it, and
promotional
let them-
materials.
yeah, and let them-
they should have a board because there were places I used to perform in Canada that used to do that.
Yeah.
So other so I'm not the only act, but I mean like whenever I'm
Yes.
performing
Right,
it's
yes.
outdoors and everything. So it's like the same thing can be done. They have a whatever I can't remember the term.
Right, but
term
just
right
like
now.
on the ships, cause
But
they
the
have
actual
that.
Yeah.
the actual billboard, lighted billboard with for one a better term
Yeah.
or correct term.
Yeah.
And where your photos on it instead of digital one and
Yeah,
it comes up.
yeah, it's true.
You know?
Because
So it's a very good point.
I take
It's
her
true.
point.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, very, very
how you're
good
being
point.
treated outside as compared to how you're being treated here.
Yeah.
Because I could remember we did a gig in Philadelphia some years ago, and when we got to the gig, our name were up in lights.
Yes,
So
yeah,
for,
yes.
I don't know if that's a lack of imagination here, because I do so
Yeah,
much more
yeah,
for
of
popular
course.
I don't think it's a lack of imagination.
No, it's just that people
Yeah,
can't
they
be
don't-
bothered.
Yeah, exactly. They can't be bothered. It can't be bothered, and that's sad.
You see, but then again, another thing you gotta understand, right, is that a lot of people who are running entertainment in hotels now, they lack the basic understanding about entertainment.
Yes.
Right, you know, and like Rosie and myself, we found ourselves in a position where we had to buy our own lights, right?
same
Buy our
here.
own lights, because many
Just have
times,
some comment.
many times there's a floor show at a hotel, and then you see the maintenance guy come up and take a spot off the coconut tree.
Yes,
spot
yes.
it there, and then the people ask to
Makeshift
perform
light.
there, and you can't the performance is not enhanced simply because everything's look plain and dull and dreary, right? But you know, there's lots of room, you know, for improvement. But the people who is in charge of entertainment have to think outside the box. They're comfortable in what they're doing, so long as they don't get complaints. You become complacent,
Correct.
Yeah.
and then all the guests will say, "Well, the entertainment is not too bad, but you know, it's not really saying anything."
Yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
there's no ambience.
You
no
have to make a
ambience
big
in this
splash,
sense.
a big bang.
Because we know we don't have stages. We already know that. 95 or 98% of the hotels, they have not even catered for the same entertainers.
There you go.
So we're thrown on a gazebo that usually somebody's
Oh, I
guess
like those
spot in the day,
gazebos,
right?
yeah. When you
Yeah.
got to bring down your equipment, somebody up out there
Yes.
having a suntan, and then you got to go and set up, because they like to be on time. So I
Correct.
need to set up,
Exactly.
yeah? And then they can be looking at you, and you
Like,
getting
how
water
dare
thrown on
you?
your equipment. Yes, it sometimes be very irritating, but you know,
Yes.
you got to do what you got to do.
correct, right?
No.
And
It's
especially when you
very
play your
irritating.
trade solely in entertainment.
There you
And I
go.
think that's something that is missing too in Barbados, that so many people, even the powers that be,
Yeah.
seem to forget that there's a huge percentage of musicians who play their trade in tourism entertainment.
Yep, I'm telling you.
And that point has been missed. That's my reason for trying to educate through
Yeah.
this documentary.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I find that it's been missed, and then we say things like we need respect, as I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
But I said just earlier, let's break down respect. So how about let's tell them the conditions we need. You know? What advice do you have for any young upcoming entertainers that want to pursue tourism entertainment?
Well, I would have three things to say. Very simply, love what you do. You must love it, because if you don't love it, when the hard times come around, you will not be able to make it. The other thing is treat it as a business. You must definitely treat it as a business, because you will have the opportunities then to move on from just starting up to doing it for fun.
Correct.
And the other thing is get your product whenever possible, write material, record material, and don't just settle for playing in a hotel or a club or something like that. Try to get your music outside and get exposed.
Okay.
And those things I think will keep you in good stead. You know.
Okay. Mac?
First of all, don't be discouraged, because when you have a band and you want to go on the hotel scene, first of all, you're going to write a lot of letters to the hotels. You're not going to receive no answers. No one answers you. So what you can do, like what Rosie and myself did in the early days, we put on clothes, walk with a cassette player, with a cassette, a few photos, and we turn up at the hotels. We literally
yeah,
turn up.
yeah.
We turn up at the castle. We turn up at Glitter Bay. We turn up all over the place. Beg for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
To the people who were in the chat. Beg for 5 minutes so we can sell ourselves.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
sold ourselves. And then we arranged auditions, and then the rest is history. Then we were
Correct.
going 7 nights a week. But don't be discouraged. Keep after it. Make sure your equipment is in tip-top shape, and make sure, most of all, that you're playing well. Don't expect to be employed if you're not playing well. I mean, it is.
Fair enough, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah. But that's basically it. You sign up a little fun to it, but it is a very good industry.
Yeah.
Good industry, to be in. But as Jerry said, you have to look at the business side of it.
Yes. Rosie.
Yeah. Always be on time. time is a stickler. I hate people are not on time. On time. If your gig is 7 o'clock, be there for 5.
Correct.
Yeah, just in
Correct.
case you gotta go back home.
It's true.
Yeah, and always dress well.
Yes.
Look good. Huh? None of the rip up pants and shirt.
Right.
and thing. Right, and then want somebody to give you money. Nah, it ain't gonna work. You know, and always have a good wide range of a repertoire just in case a granny come up and say, do you know the begin? No, you see how we going back. That's all that 1950s. Make sure you got that in the repertoire.
There you go.
Right? So, and make it fun. And as Jerry said, you gotta love it, you gotta come from the heart. Anything that you do, no matter what, whatever you do in life, you always gotta come from the heart and something that you love.
Yes.
So that's my opinion on it.
Most of the properties that used to host the big bands and stuff, they're no longer around.
Right.
Like Eastry House and all these people and Coconut Creek and them. So you know, I mean, a lot of it has changed drastically. And I think those people back then, like the more recent of the hotels that I could think of would be Club Broccoli. That is no more. Right. Club Broccoli was one of the few places that had a proper stage, had lighting, had all the
atmosphere.
Exactly, because and I guess too because the owners were also entertainers, so they recognize the importance of but they're no more. Like most of the other properties that had things,
in place for entertainers.
Yeah, which is sad.
It is.
But there's so many experiences that one can relate to. I mean, you know how many times people you come off stage in a break, and a couple come up to you and say, thank you for playing this song because that's a song that we got married to.
Yes.
That's a song that we, and I mean, like.
That reminded me of my husband who recently passed.
Exactly.
We would be here every year for the last 28 years.
Exactly.
And, even though it's bittersweet, I mean, we have stories, we can write books. Maybe that's what we probably should be doing right now.
Let's set up for the next project.
Yeah, it's for real. And, so I'm saying that we just need to share information with the powers that be. My hope from this documentary film is that we can have a conversation, not a fight, not differences, but a conversation that we can learn to work with one another, understanding the value that we all have in making a contribution to our sector, our tourism sector. So a question I want to ask you, so tell me, what would you like to see change in the tourism entertainment sector?
Well, there's a number of things that we would have liked to see change throughout the years that for some reason, haven't. One of the things I would like to see is proper stages, and not places where you go to set up and the rain falls and you gotta be running and stuff like that. That's one basic thing that we need. We also, I think there have been comments made about bands from yesteryear that used to wear uniforms or dress alike or dress a particular kind of way.
Standard.
No, my rebuttal to that is to bring back that. Have somewhere where the bands could change. Have a change room. Because then there's no excuse. Because obviously, if you're going to be performing, everybody don't necessarily drive, so you don't want to be walking about, you don't want to be in a bus or on public transport in the clothes that you're going to be wearing on stage. You need to change. Young ladies need to put on their makeup, do whatever, but this should be some place where you can change by now.
Some basics.
Yeah, and those are a couple basic things. We also need, I think, for our own protection, maybe we need to look back at things like contracts. You think about a contract, it works both ways.
Yes.
But something
level of accountability for performance agreement at least. Exactly. Because even if it's seasonal.
I've had situations where somebody called and booked me for a particular night. And I say, well, yeah, no problem. We were rehearsing for the night. Then to get a call, we didn't have enough dinner, so it canceled.
But remember that happened to me recently. When
Yeah,
I was
I
literally
remember.
going downstairs
And
to
there's
put
no
my
fee.
equipment.
There's no fee. I mean, I had a situation. I've had situations, especially during the Christmas period. You get a lot of calls.
Mm-hmm.
People want you to. People that you don't normally play for on a regular basis will call and say, "Well, I'm looking for somebody," and there's no fee, no booking fee.
Yeah. The other thing I
And
think
you
we should
turn
look at
down
too
work,
is I think another thing that we as bands need to look into, or the hoteliers need to fund, would be liability insurance.
But you know that you say that, right? People look at me as one who tries to be difficult.
Me too.
Because other bands or other performers might put up with a scenario, and
I'm
I
not.
wouldn't.
I'm not.
I'm the difficult one.
So am I. So I mean, it's two of us.
I've witnessed a situation where I saw a guy playing for a cocktail party on a lawn of a hotel.
No covering.
No covering. He has a speaker, a portable, powered speaker, and he's playing his music through that, and he's playing an instrument. I think it was a saxophone. And all I'm saying to myself is, so if the rain had to come down, what is he gonna do? Because the first thing he's gonna do is protect the saxophone, because he obviously doesn't want water. So he thinks on the ground or wherever, where everything is gonna get wet, and that's the end of them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is, but a lot of people settle for it.
And even if you're gonna bring me a tent, don't bring me a tent
that
that don't have sights.
Exactly. Just
That's
have the
a
covering.
tent for the sun.
Yeah, not
Not
to
for
protect the
rain.
equipment.
Not for rain.
And I think that's something that we need to take responsibility and accountability.
But
And I think if you
people-
were being paid well, we can have, because I've been calling insurance companies in Barbados of recent, because I was like, you know what, I'm going to insure my band for liability. But they only have liability for an occasion,
Okay.
right? So you have to get a liability insurance. You probably need to get literally every week.
But what bothers me about that, though, even before getting the liability insurance, there's certain basic things that the
It
band
needs to be in place.
should say. Well, listen, I can't play under that tent
No, I'm
because
not.
there are no sites.
I'm not.
We can't play. Our stuff is still gonna get wet. And if,
I've
we
been
have,
actually-
and if we have those basic things in place, and there's a total agreement across the board, but this is where the lack of a union,
Yeah, but to
a
say it
cohesion,
comes into place. Yes.
because I wouldn't do it.
I'm
You
not
don't gonna do it,
certainly
but Joe
not doing
Blow
it.
gonna go and do it.
Of course. And then you get bracketed or labeled, as you said, as a difficult person or a person who, or she thinks she's so this or she think, because that's really my reputation as it relates
But mine
to my
too. Mine
general
too.
managers and stuff. But people like myself and you and a few other people I know that stand firm in their conditions, we are labeled, but that's fine with me. That's fine with me. I've learned to live with 2 or 3 proper gigs that respect my craft. And by respecting my craft, they respect my setup, my infrastructure as a performer, and I deal with that to suit, right? So
But it's rather unfortunate
quality
that it can't
than
be across the
quantity.
board, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. Any advice for any young people up and coming in the industry?
Well, they need to listen to, because that's why I did when it was coming up. I listened to the stories. I listened to the people that who were before me, the generations before me, and some of them still playing and whatnot. And that's the only way you learn. You learn. There's so much you learn about your craft. You learn about the business, which is important, because a lot of younger people could probably be exploited, not knowing what to charge or how to do certain things, or certain things that should be. Like I said, once again, because we don't have a union, and it goes back to that all the time. We don't have a cohesive unit.
It does. That's what you see me
Where
smiling.
the way there will be standards in terms of pricing and in terms of conditions, liability, insurance, all of these different things. And I mean, that's the thing. And as a youngster, you can't think that you know everything. You got to understand that.
That there are steps.
Right. You learn
There's steps.
as you go along.
I think you might speak to Michael Webb sometime soon, and he and I at one point we started this drive for a union, and we had a few people come on board, and we were very serious about it. I think it can still happen, but you know what? It must be a driving force from all the entertainers. It can't just be 1 or 2, because it will not. It will last. It wouldn't work. Everybody has to come on board, because it's really important. I see categories for groups, because you can have a lot of groups. Some groups are 3 people, 2 people, they have a 5-piece group and so on. So therefore the pay structure must be done that way, and that's where a union comes in, you
Right.
know, to represent if somebody want to hire you. But then, you know, they look at the size of the group, and you're in a structure for that. And then obviously the demand of the group is also important, so that will have to be taken into consideration as well. And like Rosie say, you got to be playing well, you got to look well, you got to do your stuff right. So therefore it gives you a better chance to be able to charge your fee
Yes.
that you think you deserve,
To
you know,
demand
and get
that.
it. You know, so unions, yeah, absolutely, I'm all for it. But we got to work together. It
Yes,
can't be
that's the
done
only way it
individually,
will be done.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosie, anything on that? Are you good?
Okay.
Matt?
Well, I can remember. I think we had MIGOB in the 70s
Right.
and 80s.
That's right.
You know, fortunately, we tried to start another union at one point. Then, as Jerry said, there were different pay structures. You know, for different categories of band. But the problem was, they sent letters to the hotels. What the hotels did then is they said, okay, if I'm going to pay a 3-piece band this, if I'm going to pay a 4-piece band this, I can only afford to employ 2 bands.
Really?
The rest of the nights I would work.
That's right. Yeah.
I would pay a DJ. And say, yeah, that's
Wow.
what. Yeah, because remember, then they were categorizing the hotels, ready to 3-star, 4-star,
Or
5-star.
5-star, right.
Right. So if you work at 5-star for a certain set of money, you can't work at a 3-star for that. You know, for that same type of money. So according to your hotel, you're being asked to pay a little
Okay,
more.
of course, because you have the
right?
budget to support
So,
it.
and according to if you're duo, trio, quartet, you know, so then you're being paid. So some of the hotels said, sometimes some of them even went out fire saying we can only afford to hire 1 act.
Wow.
Because
this is news to me.
we're being asked to pay more money now, or too much money in their opinion. So we will have DJs, you know, for the balance of the week.
Wow.
So then, you know, everything just
Fall by the wayside,
Yeah.
pretty much.
People hear me say this all the time, Sam Tate. You know, Sam Tate always tell me, you could sing, Caroline, why don't you do this? Why don't you do the next thing? Come and sing. So I joined Sing Up Barbados with him. Men accept things, and men get old, and men get big bellies, and men get gray hair. And sometimes we lose the teeth and thing, you know what I'm saying? That sort of thing. But they still accept them.
First of all, I was born in Puerto Rico. Born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I started the hospitality industry back in 1991, working for casinos. All the islands provide music and entertainment. They have the fire eaters, they have the dancers, they have the bands. Yes, but Barbados itself has offered a culture that developed people to sing, to act, and to perform.